Hi, everybody. Okay, so for today, I'm going to do my usuals and then I'm going to veer off a little bit. Then I'm going to do the video that I promised you guys. So it's just going to be a free for all today. Usually, Mondays aren't like this, I promise, but something happened today, but I'll get to it. I want to do what you guys are used to first before I do something a little different, okay? So mine always okay, but it answered some questions because I thought that they had written that Audra and Kyle were going to do something because of what happened on Friday. Because, okay, I have to back up a little bit. There was a day last week where Kane saw Audra and Kyle together and talking and everything else. And I said even they were flirting really hard to the point where he says, I thought you guys were with other people. Okay, and I talked about it that day. Okay, so remember that. Then on Friday, they had some kind of moment where it was at the end of the episode and they were making out something fierce. And I go, what the? What's going on here? I had forgotten slightly that the plan was okay, on Audra's side, the plan is to get Kyle to fall for her to make Victor, well, to help Victor and to get him to believe that Kyle is a bad guy so that Claire will stay away from him. That was the plan, okay? Kyle's plan, which I had temporarily forgotten, was to make her think that he's falling for her, but he wasn't falling for her. And Claire was in on it too. Okay. So I thought that they were gonna have an affair or something, but it wasn't that. But Monday, today, okay. So we cut into um Kyle and Claire, or Kyle and Audra, uh, continuing from Friday, and I'm like, I'm still thinking they're gonna do something, and I'm like, oh my god, and then right when you think it's gonna happen, like right before, he says something to make her stop. Now, what it was and what exactly, whatever, I don't know because I was watching it, but he spoke really low, so I couldn't hear it. And I didn't know that I had to jack up the sound, so I didn't. Okay. But whatever he said made her stop. Then, so I'm like, okay. So then, imagine yourself, you can't breathe, and then that happens, and then you can breathe again. That's where I was. Okay. And I was like, okay. So then on the other side, because they have to have another story, right? Okay, on the other side, um, Kane is still convinced that Nick is trying to unalive him or something. And so, and I didn't even catch this, but someday he made a threat. Nick made a threat to Kane that he was gonna, I don't know what, but he perceived it as so much of a threat that he had some kind of police place Nick on house arrest or something because he was gonna go down the mountain and leave. And then they get a knock at the door, and Sharon tells Nick that she's gonna go with him. And then they get the knock on the door from the police, and they say house arrest, and they say, okay, you have two choices. You either go with us and do what we want, or we'll make it really difficult. Okay. So I'm like, oh God, okay. And Nick was not. At first, he was not pleasant. He was like, "I'm not going with you. Are you out of your mind?" And then that's when they said, you have two choices. So then I think he's going to just go with it. Okay. So then we have another little story. I say little story, but it's not. Because, okay. Now this is, and I'm sorry this keeps happening, but you have to remember a moment from something else so that it ties into this now. Okay. Okay. So when Billy wanted to start his own company, okay, Jack funded him the money to be able to do it. And Jack says, "Oh, well, I don't care. I just want to see you happy. And I'm glad you have something to focus on." So I'm like, okay, cool, brother moment. Yay. Okay, today, no. Today was, Jack was, oh my God. Okay, and if you didn't know Peter Bergman can act, then this is a masterclass, okay? Because he can go from totally serene, no problem, chill, to like screaming at somebody. Now, I always use this scenario of, imagine Jack talking to Victor, which they've had a decades long feud, okay? But they are well known for their chair antics. And what I mean by that is that Victor pisses Jack off, so Jack inevitably throws a chair out a window. Literally chucks his chair out a window every time, okay? That is the level of anger I'm talking about here. He says, "Well, I supported you until I don't know what you're thinking about, because why would I support you when I don't even know what you're doing? And I'm just supposed to be okay with you doing whatever you want. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have this chance. It has to have my backing." Yada yada. And I'm like, whoa, dude, he's angry. And then of course Billy comes in and says, "Well, that's not exactly right, because you said that I could do what I wanted and you trusted me to run the company right." And then Jack comes back with the, "Well, yeah, I said that, but I didn't think that you were going to go completely rogue." So, the brothers are at each other. Okay, so then Billy doesn't like it. So then Billy goes to the bar, I guess, to get a drink, which, first of all, I should have known, because that's kind of his MO, number one. Number two, I was kind of scared for a moment, because if you don't know, Billy did have an alcohol problem at some point, like the character. So he can start with one drink, and if he's not careful, it can turn into like really drunk. And then also, combined with that, whenever he's really drunk like that, he tends to not make the best decisions ever. So I was kind of worried for 30 seconds. But he only had one drink, I think. And then Phyllis happened to be right there too. And let's see. Phyllis was defending Kane, which Nick didn't like. And Nick put his foot down because he said, "I can't believe you're defending him. We have a kid together, and you're gonna defend him. What are you thinking about?" So everybody's mad at each other, like mad at each other. And then finally, to close the loop on the Audra and Kyle thing, Kyle says, "Well, the reason why I look like I agreed with you on everything is because I had to put up a front that I agree with you on everything. That doesn't make it true. And you don't understand the bond that Claire and I have. And I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that." So I'm like, woohoo! I was happy with that one. Okay, so that was the whole episode of Y&R today. Talk about a twisty road, man. Oh, man. Man, that was really good, but really bad. And see, the thing is that I know that brothers or siblings or whatever, are supposed to have fights every now and again, But every time they have a fight, I'm always worried that, like, this fight is going to be the one that breaks them to where they can't get back again. Because Billy always feels like he has to defend himself and that nobody believes him. Okay, that's just his, like, constant. Okay, and then Jack, I think he has to be the overprotective older brother. So those are their roles. And no matter how hard they try to, like, change and say they're not like that, they're like that. That's what they're comfortable in. So that's what they do. So yeah. Okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Bye, everybody.